Welcome back, y'all.
Welcome back.
We're back under construction. What a very interesting week in sports. We have a lot to talk about, despite there not being a lot of action going on. The NBA is back in full swing after All-Star break. There was a very interesting. I guess you could call it a fight. I mean, it was two guys in the ring.
Was it a fight?
It was two guys in the ring, but
it looked like glass.
My ears bleeding. My ears bleeding. Oh my gosh.
But in better news, under construction crew actually had a correct prediction. I think we all predicted the Hornets to go 1-1 the past week, and that's exactly what they did. They beat the Chicago Bulls,
and it was the most Hornets 1-1 ever.
Oh, definitely.
No, I gotta give it up for Kaiser. This is Negro Damas right here. He said, if Kyrie is playing, we will win.
If
he does not play, we're gonna get beat up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what even the commentators were saying. They didn't want to come out and say, like, directly that the Nets were better without Kyrie Irving.
Look, without even hearing the commentary, I bet they said something to the effect of, well, the ball sure is moving.
That's exactly what they said. That's exactly
Look at the ball. It's not sticking.
Said. Yeah,
it's just not sticking.
The ball movement. They said they're forced into better ball movement because Kyrie is not there.
Hey, man. Hey, y'all. We can't ignore. We have somebody.
We have a special guest today.
Special guest, y'all.
He just fits right in.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I am Matt Morrow with Charlotte Football Insiders.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be our fourth man this episode. He's gonna stick around for the Hornets talk, and certainly has a lot to say about the biggest enigma in Carolina pro sports now, the Carolina Panthers. So,
oh boy.
But let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets. Let's talk about that Chicago game. Real good of them to come out the way they did after a bit of a break. They didn't look too flat. We had said that I still think that Chicago loss early in the season kind of stings. It's funny because the Hornets were up by 22 at one point?
Yeah.
And ended up only winning by 10, and fans were upset.
Man.
Well, fans are good. Charlotte Hornets fans are perpetually upset
for everything.
At something.
We win too much. We lose too much. Malik doesn't play enough. Malik plays too much.
We need to tank. Why didn't we win by more? You're never going to please Charlotte.
Malik Monk was the high scorer that game, 25 points. Miles Bridges had 22. Bridges also led with 8 rebounds. Devonte Graham, his slump continues, but he did have 7 assists, which kind of answers the question: if Devonte Graham is not shooting well, what else does he offer?
Ronnie, you want to take this one first?
I'm concerned about Devonte. He has yet to adjust to this to the defenses actually playing him, and long term we may need to look at another point guard. Man, I'm being real with you.
I hate.
That's a hot take, man. It's very hot.
But listen,
he's 24. He's gonna be 25 this year.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't think that the age thing really matters much here. It's game time. How much road wear do you have? And essentially, this is only his second season. You know, he didn't get a lot of playing time with the Hornets. Spent some time with Greensboro last year, and it's just that teams adjusted to him, and he's got to. In the offseason, he's going to have to make some improvements, particularly going to the basket.
The mid-range game needs to be worked on.
Yeah, he's got to be more like Kemba. Hey, he does.
Can I jump in on this?
Go ahead.
Yes, please.
You know, I don't think it's too early you shouldn't give up on Devonte right now.
Nah.
Second year, and like you said, you know, mileage on the body is very important. He has had some success in his mid-range game. He is trying to find that floater like Kemba developed.
The stuff around the basket.
Yeah.
Yes.
He doesn't have enough stuff.
Yeah. And I think the NBA's thing with either shooting threes or layups is kind of hurting, you know, the mid-range game.
We talked about it earlier.
It is, but it's a necessary evil.
Well, yeah, but your star players, you know, their mid-range games are great. You know, and that's what I don't understand about this whole analytics deal. But the big
You fit in perfectly here, buddy.
But to stay on topic with Devonte, I think he's just fine. You know, an off season of working on that mid range game, looking at tape, which you really don't have time to do in the season, analyzing how teams are attacking you. I think we need a star. You know,
well, that goes without saying.
Before you know anything else. But
rumors have it that the Pelicans don't want to max out Brandon Ingram. That might be our star.
Is he really better than P.J. Washington, Miles Bridges are going to be?
Yeah, I think he is, man.
Hold on. Right now he is. But I mean,
offensively, man.
In the future, I don't know about P.J. Washington. P.J. Washington he's good. P.J. Washington is going to be.
Yeah, my bad.
No. P.J. Washington is going to be something special, I think.
You're really high on P.J. Washington.
I am. And I was not when we drafted him. I thought.
To me, his ceiling is a Paul Millsap. A slightly more athletic Paul Millsap. That's what I see out of PJ.
It's just that when I look at guys like PJ, what does he do poorly?
He didn't really do anything.
Nothing.
No. This is an interesting take, being that he didn't have a great week.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
None. Yeah.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
See, y'all actually bring me to a point that I wanted to bring up. I think this is funny how this team goes as PJ and Devonte go. When PJ and Devonte don't have a good game, you get games like the Brooklyn Nets game last night. Now, that's okay if you're playing the Chicago Bulls. They just outsucked us. You get what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
But when we play quality teams and you need everybody to be consistent and Devonte doesn't show up and PJ doesn't show up, you get results like you got last night. Now, in terms of Devonte and the level of concern I have for him, it's not very high. We need to keep in mind, y'all, I'm going to keep banging this drum. Kemba Walker was a 37% shooter his first year or 2. 4 years. And Devonte is essentially the same thing. And you have to understand, look, maybe this is a hot take, but let's not forget, y'all, he's a second-round pick, and maybe it's for a reason. You get what I'm saying? So my level of concern is not very high for Devonte Graham. Games like the Chicago game, he doesn't score, but he still makes somewhat of an impact because he did have 7 assists, which did help us pull out a win at least against the Chicago Bulls. So you take that for what it's worth, man.
So I got a question, fair or foul? I've seen online that Malik Monk should start. Should he, or should he continue his bench role? I mean, he's been surging this past couple weeks.
Why would it hurt now? Here's my thing, man.
But who do you bench?
Who don't you bench?
Well, hey, we remember the Dwayne Baker situation. He started off hot, and then he lost the starting job to someone that was outplaying him. Right. Devonte Graham could lose that starting job.
Here's my question, man. Well, not a question, but here's my statement, man. There's outside of Terry Rozier, I believe Terry Rozier has his spot cemented on this team as a starter. There's no way I would adjust Terry Rozier in any way, shape, or form. No.
He led the Hornets in scoring for like a month straight.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Look, he's been able to lead the team in scoring because Devontae is a good enough passer and a better floor general than he is. To me, he's more of a combo guard.
Who's reliable? Who's more reliable?
You can't say Rozier's not more reliable, man. Come on, dude.
So listen. So you bench Graham,
right,
and play Monk.
Yes.
Who's your point guard? I don't trust Reggie. I don't trust Terry to be the full-time point guard.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't have Devonte Graham out there going cold just to pass the ball to Malik Monk. I just don't think that works that way.
Well, the thing about it is, in this point of the season, it doesn't matter.
That's my point,
at the end of the day, you know, if you want to experiment, now's the time to go ahead and experiment. Long term, I agree. I don't think Malik's a point guard, first off.
Well, absolutely not. That's a disaster. Anytime you put Malik Monk at point guard,
as well as he's been playing, Malik can play one spot.
One spot.
He can play the 2. We've seen him play the 1.
Drive the ball every time.
We know he can't play the 3. So
now, look, man, I hate to be such a Debbie Downer, but let me remind everybody: we beat the Chicago Bulls, who did not have Lauri Markkanen, nor did they have Wendell Carter. So let's quell our expectations just a
Hey
little
man,
bit.
so y'all aren't on the playoff train because
Absolutely.
I was getting ready to bring that up. Miles is wanting to make a
Miles
playoff
wanted to make
push.
that push.
He should. If Miles Bridges had said anything other than that, I would have been disappointed.
Yeah.
Every player on the Hornets should be like, "Nah, we're trying to win."
I need fans to understand. Players and fans are two totally different animals, man. There's I'm with Kaz, man. I wish a player would say, "Well, you know what, man, we're not really playing for anything." Like,
I'm just out here collecting the check.
I'm just out here playing,
Nick
man.
Batum. Was he even at the game?
Probably not.
He was on the bench, man. He was on the bench.
You sure?
I like
the
the
sleeping cot.
Hey man, he's buying into the young guy. He's like, man, I'm not
that
even
what
gonna
it
play,
is?
man, but y'all fun, man.
I wish I could get paid $24 million to go watch basketball.
Man,
It must
yeah.
be nice, man.
Man, I'm telling
I mean,
you.
has he played ever since Paris?
No.
yeah.
Not
No,
1 minute
no,
before.
no.
I was
Not
telling
a
people that he was playing because they were getting ready to showcase him in Paris. And ever since then, he hadn't got off the damn bench.
I'll be offended, man. I would honestly be offended. Like, so you pimped me out for Paris.
Wait, hold on.
If you came
You
back
be
and-
offended?
For $25 million, you can offend me.
Did that check cash? Did that direct deposit go through? I don't care about being offended if that direct deposit went through.
Is it competitor or no?
Is who a competitor?
Nick Batum.
Is there a croissant eating contest?
Come on.
Yeah. If it comes to eating pastries, probably, but not basketball.
That's
no.
my nickname for him, French pastries.
If you fall asleep on the bench during an NBA game, if I fall asleep in my cubicle, I'm fired.
You're not coming back to work.
So he's not coming on this show if he watched video.
Gosh darn! Look at that.
Hey, Nick Batum, you're welcome on Unstructured anytime.
You can come defend yourself, but
Yes.
you ain't no allies over here, buddy.
Nope, you got no
All
friends.
right, Boris Batum.
Yeah.
Hey,
Which
what-
is, that is my greatest fear, that this cat is going to leave the Hornets and go win a chip somewhere,
Go to San
balling
Antonio.
out. Yep.
Nah, he's gonna go to the Lakers. He's gonna be the backup small forward to LeBron James.
Something. It just
Off the bench, averaging 10 points a game.
Watching Tyson Chandler beat LeBron James in the finals, knowing that he was trash when he played for us. Watching Boris Diaw beat LeBron James in the finals, knowing, and I just got this icky feeling that it's gonna be Nick Batum. Be watching him in the finals beat LeBron James. Like what?
Okay,
It's gonna be MKG.
Which
too,
is
so.
the irony is that we can't beat LeBron James when he's anyway.
Okay, moving on from the Nick Batum's portion of under construction. There's something encouraging I want to talk about. His name is Jalen McDaniels.
Yes.
Yes. Doesn't really score a lot. Matter of fact, did he even score at all in the Bulls game? Don't even think he scored.
Nope.
However,
He did.
he's making an impact when he's on the floor, and and me and Rodney was at the game last night. We noticed, like, man, he's getting some solid minutes, man.
Yeah.
And I think JB recognizes, like, okay, when this guy's on the floor, he defends the way I want the whole team to defend. And it's funny that we're looking at a rookie as the example of what the other players should be doing. That's pretty sad, but whatever. I noticed like he's very long, he's athletic. You let him mess up because he did a few times. He missed a layup last night, but you let that stuff go, man. And I think that's an encouraging sign, man.
You need guys like that.
Yeah.
You have to have guys. Remember CDR?
Yeah.
That's who he
I love
reminds
that
me
dude,
of.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
he's
loves
a
CDR.
3 and D.
3 guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's clear that the Hornets and Borrego have embraced the youth movement, and they're making good on their word. Hey, we're about player development this year. The question about whether or not Monk would start, like we all said, it wouldn't hurt, but somebody's feelings gonna have to get hurt.
And there's nobody on this team whose feelings are worth valuing that much.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that sounds worse than what I needed to sound.
No, but you're right.
Somebody's gonna because ideally you have Monk starting at the 2, and then you have either Rozier or Graham at the 1, and then one of those guys is the backup point guard. And there you go. There's your guard rotation right there. But somebody's feelings would be hurt.
I want to get back to Kyrie Irving. I know y'all like, why the hell does? And I know y'all are like, I know y'all are like, this is a Hornet segment. Why are we talking about Kyrie Irving? But there's a reason I want to bring back up Kyrie Irving for a second. I want everybody who's listening out there watching us, if you're bored enough, go look at the box score for the Brooklyn Nets. I want you to tell me what you noticed if you look at this box score. Now, for those of you who are not, let me just explain something to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players in double figures for the Nets last night. 8 guys. I don't even think I've ever seen 8 players in double figures on a basketball team before. Ever. How does that happen? I'm going to tell you why. There's 2 reasons why that happened. Beautiful defense, and you don't have a guy who's dribbling the air out the ball. To me, look, man, I know we are... Ronnie's making me laugh.
ISO.
I get we are a young team that is learning on the fly. I get it, man. But the part of my frustration is that defense is so built on effort. It's so built on consistent effort. Yeah. And I'm looking at this last night, man. I'm just like, this is why I can't be a coach in the NBA, because I cuss everybody out every game. Because I'm just like, there's just no reason to not try. Do y'all feel the same way? Am I bugging or what, man? Talk me off the ledge.
No, you're correct, but here's the problem. It's not really a problem, but it's difficult to play both ends of the floor. No doubt, man. You lack, if you are a great defender, you're not really a good offensive player because you've given all your effort on the other end, and vice versa.
And that's prevalent, because you got to understand, man, professional NBA athletes are professional for a reason. It takes a lot of
and
energy,
although
man.
I'm one of those people, like, well, you know, the NBA was harder in the 90s because they played more defense. But two important things to note: the rules were different. Yeah, you could two-hand hand check,
slap people around and everything.
If your guy got past you, you had David Robinson sitting in the paint, or Akeem Olajuwon, or Shaquille O'Neal, or Alonzo Mourning, or Dikembe Mutombo,
or Anthony Mason, or the store.
You had somebody that wasn't gonna make that layup easy for you. You don't have that nowadays.
Not so much.
Not so much.
But you could have a DeAndre Jordan or Jared Allen. I'm not saying they're, look, man, no. I'm not saying they're David Robinson. And please, let's make that clear. All I'm saying is it's good to have somebody who can at least alter shots.
You need somebody.
You got a Bismack Biyombo.
Man, stop, man. He's 6'7".
You know, it's funny when Dwight Howard was here. Now, Dwight Howard was a lazy defender, but just by virtue of him being 6'11", sitting in the paint, defenders would have to think about their shots. We don't really have that. As much as I like Cody Zeller, we should talk about him in a minute too, because he's been balling out lately.
He's a solid dude, man.
But
he's solid, man.
Defensively,
he's a solid backup center in the NBA.
You know, he just
that I agree with.
He's just a solid backup center.
I mean, he's a solid player.
It would depend on the team.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that.
You put him on, like, remember Golden State with JaVale McGee?
Right.
What's the difference in Cody Zeller and JaVale McGee? I mean,
athleticism.
Hey.
Out the roof.
Actually, I don't think that Cody is unathletic. He's Yo, he dunked on 3 guys last night off a cut.
No. Listen, let me sum this up.
Arms though, like
got little arms.
That's it. Cody Zeller is very athletic. He's just not long enough to adjust and alter shots at the rate you need him to do so. That's the thing. I think Cody Zeller is a quality center, man. It's just that he doesn't give you enough of what we need on the other end of the floor. We
don't need a center that can score points.
So we don't.
You're right.
So you throwing a message out there? We don't need a James Wiseman.
Should we talk about? Let's address that elephant in the room.
Oh my God! I'm tired.
Look, I got one name. Anthony Edwards. That's all we need.
Here's the thing. I saw the highlights from Edwards this weekend. Woo!
Yeah, boy.
I'm telling you, we're one wing away.
Okay.
I'm telling you, one wing.
Let's say the Hornets fall into the top 5 pick as they are projected to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. None of these guys are worth the top 5 pick. I'm sorry. You can hold a gun in my head. James Edwards, James Wiseman, Anthony Edwards. None of these guys are worth a top 5 pick. Is supposed to be franchise changing,
right?
Once a generation.
It's a weak draft, though.
It is a weak draft.
People don't want to acknowledge.
People don't want to acknowledge that. They think that the savior to the Charlotte Hornets franchise is sitting in the top 5.
No. Let's be very specific. Fans think the savior to the Charlotte Hornets has played 2 collegiate basketball games.
Yes.
and they haven't watched either one of them. But somehow he's a savior.
He played South Carolina State in one of those games.
Okay, so here's the thing. When Zion, and I'm not saying, Zion is clearly a once-a-generation talent. But when he came in, we knew he's going to be the best player on whatever team he went to.
And he's showing the
proof. He's clearly showing that.
And if you looked at Ja, you were like, okay, this guy
he's going to be the best guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Would James Wiseman be the best Charlotte Hornet?
How do we know?
Oh,
That's my question.
He wouldn't be.
No. Because the 2 games I saw, I was like, okay, he's okay.
He's bigger than everybody on the court.
He's bigger than everybody, but is he good?
Right. I don't think if James Wiseman, if you really think that he's the best, he would be the best player in the Hornets when he got drafted, then you must think the Hornets roster is
pretty terrible
and devoid of talent. At best, he could fit in here. And I would actually like for the Hornets to get someone of his ilk. But with the top 5 pick.
But who else you going to get, man?
To be honest with you, we talked about this before. I would shop that.
I would shop the pick.
For like a Miles Turner. He
I
can
like
change,
Miles Turner.
He can change it on the defensive
Listen,
end.
I know where you're going with this, but I need you to understand something. I need you to imagine the outrage from this fan base.
Oh my God.
If you trade a top 3 pick for Miles Turner.
Well, no, I think you can get more than that.
Listen, I get what you're saying, but I need you to jump outside yourself and think about this fan base in Charlotte, North Carolina. Michael Jordan traded the top 3 pick for Miles Turner?
But look at it like this: the fan base was outraged when we traded Malachi Richardson for Marco Bellinelli.
But that's kind of my
and that
point,
was
man.
a great trade.
Malachi
We won
Richardson,
that trade.
Right, right. I mean, that's kind of my point.
That was another weak draft. Like, this fan base was ecstatic. I'm gonna take a bullet that we picked Malik Monk over Bam Adebayo and Donovan Mitchell.
That is true.
Both of them are all-stars.
Yeah.
And now Malik has teased us for like a month. Oh, we made the right pick now. We made the right. No. You cannot convince me. His ceiling is higher. His ceiling is higher than both of these guys.
Now, Rodney,
who are making a difference on playoff rosters.
Let's be a little fair. Let's be a little fair, man. Donovan Mitchell was a junior when he came out of college, man. I think that makes a big difference. Malik Monk was barely 18 years old when he came out.
Both his college teammates are better than him.
There's still time, man. Rodney, you a little impatient with Malik, man. Let's see, man.
But I will say, considering where we are with the 5 position now, passing on Bam does look
bad.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bad.
And I remember I bought this up in the group. We don't need a 5. We got Dwight. I'm like, Dwight is old.
That's true. We didn't think though.
Be lucky now.
We didn't think Dwight Howard was going to be a 1-year rental. And excuse me, in fact, we thought that was a playoff team before the season started.
It almost was, but
we were like, finally, Clifford built the team he wanted. He's got Kemba. Yep. He's got his guy in Dwight Howard. Nick Batum was coming off one of the best seasons of his career ever. We thought that was a playoff team. Yep. We just didn't know any better. So
we didn't know people were not going to like basketball anymore. We didn't know Dwight Howard was going to think he was still an all-star. We didn't know.
Dwight Howard swore he was Kyrie crossing cats. Dunking on cats.
30 and 30.
30.
Oh, yeah.
Did we win that game?
We won that game.
Yeah, that was
I was there.
Brooklyn.
We won it.
I was there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we won by 60 points the game he didn't play. All right, let's segue into something else. We've exhausted this topic.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll end Hornets talk with this. What would you like to see them do with the pick? And what would you like the starting rotation to look like next season?
If we don't trade the pick, go BPA. I don't care if that's LaMelo Ball. I don't care if that's Anthony Edwards. I don't care if that may be James Wiseman or the guy in Greece or whatever his name is. Pick the best player available. At this point, we're in a real rebuilding team. You don't pass up on talent for need.
Right.
You stock up on talent.
Right.
Next year, I just want to see a good wing 2 guard, Malik off the bench, Devonte maybe, free agent center, and let it roll like that. Build your depth.
I'm I'm with Rodney, man. You definitely just pick the best talent available. Now, if the basketball gods finally shines their light on Charlotte and says, "Hey, you guys got the number 1 pick," if I have the number 1 pick,
Traded for Kawhi Leonard.
well, of course, but but in the real world,
Not on 2K.
but if we have the number 1 pick, I personally, if I'm Jamal Kupchak, I say to myself, do I want LaMelo Ball or James Wiseman? I think if it's me, I want one of those 2 guys. And I do my homework, I do my scouting, I pick one of those 2 guys. And I'm with Rodney. Whatever need we have after that, we finally have the flexibility. Oh my God! Did we hear that word, Hornets fans?
Rudy Gobert is a free agent.
We have the flexibility to go get what we need. You must be crazy, Rodney.
Defensive player of the year.
You must be crazy, boy. For Rudy Gobert, man, please. Anyway, so if we have the flexibility to go get what we need after we draft the best player available.
Matt.
I would say I would like to draft the player with the highest superstar potential.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course.
Well, yeah,
but
I don't see it.
let me cut him off real quick. Why do people talk like you can just go get a superstar at Walmart? Like,
I hate seeing that in the Hornets group. What we need is a superstar.
Like, every damn team. Like it's a superstar sale at like Bilo or something. Like, man, how come Jordan just gonna get a superstar? Like, well, guys, if it was that,
who's the superstar?
No,
who's the superstar of the Boston Celtics?
You got jokes. You got jokes.
I don't think
Tatum's the best player right now.
Tatum is
Boston's best player.
Boy, they gonna get y'all.
I don't know.
I don't care.
Boy, they gonna get y'all, boy.
He's the best player because know who.
For those who are listening, Jamal did not say these things.
Yeah, I don't think if Kimba was there, he'd be.
Kimba's smart enough to defer.
Hey, Matt, please.
Okay. Well, as far as rotation goes, I think you can find a rotation quality big man, for cheap now because of the, way the NBA is going.
Good point.
I would also like to see some type of veteran presence to replace Marvin Williams. I think he was very strong in the locker room, and with all these young guys, we got to have somebody to keep the ship, afloat when things start getting crazy.
Add to what you said, I think Marvin was a good veteran leader, but he's probably a little too nice for my liking. I want like an asshole in the locker room, man. I think we need a good thug.
I've been saying that for years. I was like, we need somebody like Bill Lane Beer on this team.
Right.
To be an enforcer, and because we get punked around a lot.
We need
especially
we need the
inside.
spirit of Anthony Mason back, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
Somebody,
The NBA is not built like that.
We need to get it back built.
Well, I was just saying the attitude, man. You got to have somebody with that real dog in them.
What else you got, Matt? Is that?
Oh no, that's it, man. That's it.
What about you, Kaz?
This is gonna sound crazy because of all the stuff I just said, but I think they should draft James Wiseman. I'll tell you why. It'll make the fans happy. If Wiseman ends up being good or great, then awesome. If he ends up not being good, then the fans will have to bear. They'll have to
eat their crow.
They'll have to eat their crow.
Like they did Malik Monk, because I don't care what anybody says. 99% of the Charlotteans wanted Malik Monk. I would document that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. People were very happy with that pick. I was happy with that pick. I was glad they picked Monk, but I mean, hindsight glasses.
They fit every time, dog.
So
they fit perfectly every time.
Before we move on, I got a story. Was it 2015? The Duke Blue Devils came off a national championship. And the LA Lakers had the number 2 pick. Oh, we're going to pick Okafor. Mm-hmm. Who was the GM of the
Mitch
Kupchak.
The Lakers? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And who did he pick?
Brandon Ingram.
No.
That wasn't bringing him? I'm sorry.
D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell. Oh, yeah, that is right. 15.
And Okafor went to the 76ers, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who's had a better career?
Come on, man. It goes without saying.
Trust Mitch.
Trust Mitch. Trust Mitch Kupchak.
Trust Mitch.
Trust me.
Here's a curveball, because I can easily see this happening. What if that number 1 pick lands and Mitch doesn't pick anybody we want?
I could
easily see that.
I
could easily see that. But I trust the guy, man.
Hey, he picked P.J. Washington with the 12th pick and Miles Bridges with the 12th pick, and then Devonte Graham with the 34th.
Yeah.
Trust Mitch.
Track record's good to me so far.
Trust Mitch. Yeah. So imagine what he's going to do with a top 5 pick.
No, but hold on. You mean to tell me Michael Jordan didn't pick any of those? He didn't.
No.
Michael Jordan didn't. He don't get credit for.
No, of course not.
Okay,
only if
Only
they're
the
bad.
ones,
Only
right?
if they're bad.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
He gets credit for my
Adam.
kid Gilchrist.
Okay.
Cody Zeller.
Yep.
The number 2 and the number 4
Noah
pick.
Vonleh.
Bismack.
Not Rich Toe, but I got you.
Yeah, that's how it works. So
Cool.
we're going to take a break, pay some bills here. Word from our sponsor, Anchor.fm. We'll be back with Carolina Panthers Talk.
That's some good beer.
And we're back under construction. We
What up,
had a
what up?
special guest with us
Special
here
guest, y'all.
today. He's been actually a fan of ours since like day one.
Yeah, man.
So it would
Funny story. We started out at the same time. He started the CFI around the same
Really?
time we
Wow.
did.
Yeah, that's what's up,
And we
man.
swapped. I met him online, and we just been rocking ever since.
That's
So
what's
it would have
up.
been remiss for us to not have him on the show eventually. One of the more knowledgeable Charlotte football fans that we have here. He runs
Appreciate
Charlotte
that.
Football Insiders. Y'all give it up for Matt Morrow.
Yeah, man. Cut it up. Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Of course.
So let's start out. Where you from, man?
I am from Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rare Charlotte native.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got
704.
we got it's like leprechauns in here, like 1, 2 leprechauns.
Yeah.
We got 3 unicorns in
It's
here.
some of us, and we know how to drive when it's raining outside.
Oh,
I don't know about
I don't know about these
these
transplants,
people. These
boy.
people crashing. I don't
Yeah.
know where they're from, but they ain't
Crazy.
from
You
Charlotte.
can't go 90 when
from
it's
Rock
sweet.
Hill. So where'd you go to school at, man?
I graduated from Harding. Class
West
of,
Side certified.
99.
Okay, all right.
Where'd you go to school at?
Not hurts my
Graduated from
feelings.
Garinger.
Garringer?
Yes, sir.
East Side?
Yeah, I grew up in East Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
You don't look like a
I worked
Garrett
at. I
dude.
worked
You look like a Garringer dude at all.
well, okay.
You know where I'm coming
So,
from, right?
Yes.
So-
my brother graduated from Garinger.
so to be fair, I graduated from Garinger, but I did not start my high school journey at Garinger. So I just graduated from there.
I hear you.
I'm not gonna say the
throwing
school I
off
went to.
right now.
Yeah. Yo, I used to work at the Chuck E. Cheese on Almar Road. That was some real hood.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
You still with us?
You might get
Thank
shot. I saw some things there. Okay.
At the Chuck E. Cheese.
At the Chuck E. Cheese in East Charlotte. Cross street from East
Moving
Lamar.
on. Moving on.
That's real Charlotte. Real Charlotte talk.
So,
That's our next podcast. Real Charlotte
Real
Talk.
Charlotte talk.
All right, I'm sorry,
I'm
Rodney.
going to step out of there. I don't want to hear no of this stuff.
Back to the interview, Rodney.
Back to the So, why did you start Charlotte Football Insiders?
Well, I was with another site previously, and pretty much I wanted to have my own voice, within covering high school football here in the Charlotte metro area. And I wanted to expand on things that, I was doing previously. And sometimes when you're under a brand, you get kind of labeled with that brand. And sometimes that's not the best thing for you. So you want to step out and create your own name and have your name on the product and then reflect your values and what you believe in.
Okay. And so you've been doing this for about a year now. How has the reception been in the Charlotte high school football community?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, everything has gone so much better than I even anticipated, just from the support from coaches and players to the numbers when we post things. Everything has just been beautiful, and I like to thank everyone for their support.
Gotcha. And you were a influential part of the Queen City Bowl, the inaugural Queen City Bowl. How did you get that started with the guys, and how did that go for you?
Well, the guys that organized it were Bobby Collins, who coaches down in South Carolina, Vernon Hunter, who's the AD at Indian Land High School, and a guy by the name of Damon White, who runs Alliance Sports Foundation. Okay. And they were looking to kind of partner with someone that knew the Charlotte metro area football landscape, and they came to me with the opportunity, and I said 100% because of what they're doing. The proceeds this year went to the Metro School, which is in downtown Charlotte, a school for disabled kids and kids that have, some cognitive issues and things of that nature. And it's a game that we want to give another opportunity to kids to get showcased to play in college. Right. And because of that, not exclusively, but there were some kids that got offers from that game, and over 45 kids from that game now are signed to play college football. So
Awesome.
Stuff, man.
it's been incredible, and I think it's only going to grow here, in the near future, in the years going forward.
Tell us more about CFI. What is it? What can fans expect?
Well, with Charlotte Football Insiders, we try to highlight players and coaches specifically through interviews. Primarily, we cover a lot of events that sometimes get lost in the weeds, like combines and 7-on-7 events, and then summer 7-on-7 competition with high schools, and then preseason scrimmages and things of that nature. We just try to, fill in the gap because, as we kind of talked about off camera, the Charlotte Observer, Langston Wirtz does a great job, but he's stretched. He's stretched
a lot.
so thin that he can't get to everything. So we kind of try to provide another option for all kids, coaches, and programs to get exposure that they deserve because everyone works so hard. And the big thing with CFI is we go everywhere. We just don't go to the best schools like Mallard Creek or Huff or Butler. We want to go. We were at Garinger last year. We were at some of the struggling programs because those kids work just as hard and those coaches work just as hard too, and they deserve the limelight for a little bit, to reflect everything that they put into the game.
What's been your biggest success story?
The Queen City Bowl, the alliance with that has been great. And then just like we were talking about experiences, kids seeing their first interview. I was just at North Gaston High School, and I did an interview with a kid. He said, "This is my first interview. I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do, what to say." I said, "Don't worry about it, man." And then it's just giving those experiences that they'll treasure for a lifetime. Because when I played, getting your name in the paper was a big thing.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine doing an interview and having that to look back on now, where I'm at, 20 years later, in my life.
Speaking of when you played, how has high school football in the Charlotte area changed in that span?
Oh, my gosh. It's exponential growth. Just from the talent perspective, the coaching perspective, having the Panthers here, I think has really made a big impact.
And
Wait, so you're saying having a professional sports team in your city makes a positive
actually
impact
matters,
on the community?
right? Wow. Who knew?
Who would have thought?
Who would have ever
People
thought
are
that?
telling me that.
Sports doesn't matter.
Those people are crazy. But no, ever since, that has been here, the Panthers have made a big impact with just the amount of attention football gets. And it's just been incredible. And you just look at the talent that we have in the NFL now.
Yeah.
We just saw Mallard Creek former player DJ Humphries got a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
$29 million guaranteed. I mean, and there's so much talent. Yeah. I mean, Quavaris Crouch at Harding was the #1 player in the nation, playing at Tennessee now. So, and there's going to be, and we look at Drake May at Myers Park.
Yeah.
He's committed to Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Randy
and there's so
Randy
many
Moss's
more.
son. He's about to get drafted.
Yeah. He played at Mallard Creek.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's the talent coming through Charlotte is incredible. And the opportunity to, introduce them to the world is something that we take a lot of pride up.
That's great because it was always Rock Hill that had the football prospects. All those guys coming from Northwestern and Rock Hill High. We're going to the big schools, and you never heard anybody. I think CJ Leak was like the biggest name.
Muhammad Massaquoi.
Yeah.
So,
And there were a couple from West Charlotte back in my day that we'll just say it didn't work out. We'll just
See, I wasn't going to even bring that up.
we'll just leave
West Charlotte was the basketball type guy.
No, we were football.
They
school.
were-
Yo, okay.
I want to test. They were a football student because they beat the mess out of us.
No, back when I was there, we were definitely. But the transition from our players to college just didn't work out.
Didn't work out quite
well.
well.
We're just gonna leave it at that, man. Yeah.
And so, within in the next 5 years, where would you like to see CFI go?
Well, the big thing with CFI is I would like to keep it focused on the Charlotte Metro. A lot of people have approached me talking about, well, why don't you expand to Carolina Football Insiders and different things like that. But
Why Charlotte can't have nothing?
well, that
Oh, we got to be Carolina something.
Right.
exactly,
So we-
exactly.
Everybody always wants to be Carolina something when they're Charlotte.
And that's the big thing, man. You don't want to, grow.
Stretch yourself.
The CFI's goal is not to be this big media conglomerate thing with high school football.
Right.
we want to continue to provide exceptional coverage in the Charlotte metro area, highlighting those kids. Now, we will have things that we do to highlight kids, within North Carolina, South Carolina, and that stuff will continue to grow, in its time. But in 5 years, I'd like to really be recognized as a respected, leader from a media perspective in high school football within Charlotte metro area. And we do dabble in other sports too. Like I've done some stuff with basketball, and we'll probably do a few things here in the spring. But mainly a respected leader in high school football. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
That sounds good. We're gonna have you bring some prospects on the show.
Oh, I'm
Give
sure
those guys because
there's a whole list that would love to do.
Hey, I'm being 100% real here.
Yeah,
When we have these guys come on the show, it'll be a good way for them to showcase how they are other than on the field.
Right.
A lot of, especially football athletes. Rarely see them without their helmets on.
Yeah.
It's a chance for kids to be able to articulate
face,
themselves.
man.
And exactly. So,
And that's a big reason why we do what we do. A lot of these kids have bright personalities that you never get to see. So that's through our medium is a great thing that we try to provide.
Okay, so I want to go back. You went before the school board about 2 years ago?
Yes.
Could you just expound on that for us, and what was the reason behind that?
So I'm also the Booster Club president at Harding University High School, and the facilities at Harding are pretty bad. A lot of schools got upgrades in the late 2000s.
we know which schools.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, Harding has been long overdue for those types of upgrades. And we went in front of the school board twice. Okay. And the first time we went, they didn't really respond to anything that we had to say.
Wow.
So then the second time we went, Channel 3, Dedrick Russell, was the first one.
Nice guy.
Oh, yeah. They got involved and gave us some exposure to it. And the superintendent at the time said that this was his first time of hearing about it, which was pretty comical.
Shocking.
So,
Wow.
well, we know what happened to him.
Yeah, he got
There's no surprise.
he
with
got
that.
axed, yeah.
So, the second time, we got some traction. Deshaun Brown at Channel 9 has done great follow-up stories with everything. And we recently just got an $8,000 grant from Dick's Sporting Goods
Nice,
to,
Congrats.
help out with the situation. But, from a CMS perspective, they still haven't really committed to doing much. They put some Band-Aids on some things that, with us being there in the situation, we know that, it's only a temporary fix. It's not going to last. But, the media here in Charlotte, Langston Wirtz has also given us some,
Press
about it. So we definitely appreciate everyone's efforts. We all always still looking for, funds to help, the Harding kids, because for 8 years, Harding didn't have a booster club. From 2011 through 2019, we just restarted the booster club back in August of 2019. So we're still trying to dig out of an 8-year hole, and the lack of support from CMS, plus that is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And we're going to still continue to fight, for our fair share. Because when you see schools on the other side of town with all these advantages,
Malik Creek,
Arkansas, Huff.
Myers Park,
Providence.
South Mac. We just
Okay.
We just throwing those out there.
And that's all we ask for.
I wonder what the difference is with those schools.
Maybe we can piece that together one day. I don't
Starts
know.
with demo and ends with graphics.
But all we want is equitable situation for our kids.
There you go.
That's-
Equitable. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all we're asking for.
Okay, so you recently got married in the past couple of years, the past year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate that.
how do you juggle CFI and being married now?
I have a wonderful wife.
You better say that.
She is incredible with supporting me in all the different endeavors that I try to participate in. She doesn't ask for much, but I try to give her as much as I possibly can. She was a blessing She was a blessing from God.
So you getting steak tonight?
I'm just being honest.
You about to get a nice medium well steak.
Shrimp on the side.
But the guy's honest truth is there are nights, during football season, I'm up Friday nights after the games up till like 4 and 5 in the morning. And getting video production and stuff out. But she's just been wonderful.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So, describe how rewarding this has been for you?
The thing that drove me into this, first of all, I was a coach for 13 years.
Okay.
And it was disappointing sometimes because I was coaching at Harding primarily. Mm-hmm. And, your kids would get an important win or a big win in your eyes, and you wouldn't see anything in the paper about it. Mm. You wouldn't see, any coverage on Football Friday night because they have so many things that they need to cover. And
wait, time out. Yeah. Let me stop you right there. Kaiser, I'm sure you can attest to this. Because Football Friday night, back in our day, you used to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
They covered everything.
Oh, yeah.
And everything. Yeah. So you mean to tell me it's like segmented now? Like they don't cover
Matter Creek,
really?
Myers Park, Butler.
I mean, you're teaching me something right now because I haven't kept up with
now,
it.
The Football Friday night now gets 15 minutes. It used to be an hour.
It used to be a whole show. It was its own show.
Yeah. Right. Show after 11, like 11:35 to 12:35.
Yeah, they get 15 minutes now. Then they continue the show online. But, it's just the sign of the times now. Yeah. Everything is
short
about
attention span, quick, easy.
Yeah, and then about advertising dollars and
plus literally half the people that live in Charlotte are not from Charlotte, so they're not as invested right. in the schools that we went to.
I can remember seriously, man. I can remember being like 12, 13 years old, not even in high school yet, watching highlights from North Rowan and whoever else. Like nobody I was really concerned with.
I remember watching like T.A. McClendon headlines. I remember watching. I moved here when I was like in 7th grade, 8th grade, and this was in the middle of the Independence Run. So every Friday night I would try to step and see did they win again? How much did they win by? Chris Lee, Muhammad Massaquoi, all those guys.
But we say all that to say, man, it's a shame it's not the same way, man. Like that's disappointing, man. And I'm speaking to your point of just not having as much exposure as most coaches would like to see, man. So that even makes what you're doing even more important. So kudos to you, man.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
We really try to fill in a gap. And, I like to think that, a lot of people appreciate it. The times that I do run into coaches and things, they do say that. So we're going to keep pushing, absolutely.
Quickly, plug your social media handles and everything in case everybody wants to follow you.
All right. So we're on Twitter, we are at Petman704. That's my Twitter. I put everything from CFI on there. On Instagram, we're at Charlotte Football Insiders. Facebook, we have a Charlotte Football Insiders page. And then our website, charlottefoootballinsiders.com.
And I'm speaking into existence that one day you will have your own Friday Night Football show. It is going to be sponsored by CFI. I'm speaking this into existence.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. That would be awesome.
Right.
All right. Well, I know you got a lot to say about the professional team.
Oh yeah,
here in Charlotte. They're in the headlines every week. I gotta say, this is the most the Panthers have been in the headlines probably since our Super Bowl run. Panthers owner David Tepper sent a letter out to PSL owners. I'll read it here really quickly.
Okay.
Says, thank you for being a loyal PSL owner. We can't do this without you. You are the backbone and create our home field advantage. Last season, you stuck with us, supporting us all the way through the final game. Understand this. I am laser focused on building a championship organization on and off the field. It takes time to build things up the right way, and sometimes you have to do a little tearing down before moving forward. The changes we made in early January are the first steps, and I could not be more excited about our future. Matt Morrow and his staff are working hard preparing for the 2020 season. He is a master developer and builder who has shown what he can do. Look at his history. He has constructed winning programs at Temple and Baylor and he will build an elite program here.
Well, that's a lot of selling.
Yep. We promise that we will work tirelessly each day to bring you a championship because that is what this region deserves. That is what the players in the locker room deserve, and that is what our fans deserve. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen, and I look forward to you joining us on this ride. Sincerely, David Tepper. Boy.
Translation: we are about to get rid of y'all's favorite quarterback. Y'all better get prepared for
Everybody's
a new
gone.
regime.
All right, I'm going to let our guest go first. Your thoughts on this letter in general.
So, number one, I have to admit, I haven't really been sold. It sounds crazy, but I have not been sold on that rule. Number one.
I'm with you there.
It's fair.
I mean, his success in college is great. And talking about building the program in NFL, I don't get that. I mean, the league stands for not for long. So, I mean, you talking about building a program. I mean, are we going to sign all these guys to long-term contracts and just try to lock them in and build it like the college team or something?
Trust the
I don't know.
process.
Trust the process.
Yeah. I don't get that. And then number two, like you guys just said, it's a hell of a sale job. You're putting a lot of pressure on him, on this guy that you just hired and gave all this money to.
Oh boy, a whole bunch of money.
I don't think you had to do that. Everyone kind of realizes where we are as a team.
Yeah.
But I know they're trying to soften the blow for what's going to happen with Cam. But there's nothing you can say to prepare us for losing the guy that gave us so many great years and so many great highlights.
And made us more relevant than we have ever been in this franchise.
Exactly.
There's a reason why he signed Matt Morrow to 7 years. The writing has been on the wall, and sometimes a lot of us didn't want to see that writing. Cam is gone. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't pay Christian McCaffrey either. Coming up soon.
Hey man,
yeah, that's crazy.
Look here,
that would be crazy.
Look here, man.
Those two situations are so vastly different.
Look, man, look.
If
A
they
running back.
If they don't pay Christian McCaffrey, I will walk down there by myself with a lit up pitchfork
and get escorted out the building.
That's fine. They gonna feel me if they don't sign.
They gonna
Christian
feel me.
McCaffrey.
You talk.
That would be insane. That'd be insane.
That would be maybe top 3 blunder in Charlotte professional sports history, up there with letting Kimball walk and
Nick Batum,
Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson fiasco.
Man, we know that story behind Alonzo.
Well, we know that, but you not the sidetrack, but you got to make that work.
Yeah, you do.
You have
make that
generational
work,
talent,
Yeah.
which don't come around. I'd argue that before Kimball, we didn't have another player that was even remotely as good as Alonzo Mourning or Larry Johnson.
Glenn Rice.
But he came via a trade.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know about letting McCaffrey go, but I do agree the writing was on the wall. Mm-hmm. Although, as much as I disagree with that, it should have been.
I feel the same way.
Man, look,
Yeah.
he's on the clock. He's seriously on the clock.
Who's on the clock? Tepper.
Like, he has to make this work. Like, you only get so long to change this much to fit it to your image, and then plus he wants a stadium. Do losing franchise get a stadium?
This is a tougher rebuild to eat. Look at the last time the Panthers rebuilt. That was an easy one to eat. The Panthers were terrible. We didn't have anyone. I think
there was nowhere to go.
We had John Beeson, D'Angelo Williams, and Jonathan Stewart, and that was pretty much it. And then so we knew we were going to suck. We got Cam Newton
out of that deal.
Yeah, and then we built a Super Bowl contending team. This is a different type of rebuild because the Panthers, they're not good, but they already have pieces
in place that there could be one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder, especially to get rid of your franchise quarterback. We talked about this last week. There's no position in maybe professional sports as important as an NFL quarterback.
Absolutely.
So if you get rid of Cam Newton, what's the plan?
That's what everybody's concerned.
I'm not opposed. Hey, if you say we don't think financially it would be a good idea to keep Cam Newton,
even that doesn't hold weight to me. If you look at all these quarterbacks out here, excluding quarterbacks on their rookie scale contract, Cam is the best bargain out there.
$18 million.
$18 million. Like, you're basically telling us you don't like him and you want to move on to something more of your own image. You want your own people here.
I don't know if it's Cam's health is really the issue. I feel like that's a crutch that Tepper keeps.
I
talk to
agree
me
with
about
that.
his health, and then we'll talk. Well, if Aaron Rodgers was injured, you don't have the Packers saying, "Well,
look,
it's depending on if he's healthy or not."
I said this was one of the last few weeks here. The New York Giants showed more loyalty to Eli Manning than the Carolina Panthers are showing to Cam Newton, and that's
the Colts showed more loyalty to Andrew Luck,
who ended up quitting on them,
who did not win them a Super Bowl. They never even went to a Super Bowl.
The Colts didn't even take back their money.
They didn't even take back their money. He missed a whole season and then some. And yet Cam has injuries because we couldn't build an offensive line around him. And then we're like, well, you know.
See, I was talking to a friend the other night, and he told me this, and I fully agree. The Panthers and Cam let each other down. Cam didn't do some of the necessary things early in his career to get better as a passer, and we never put a good offensive line or weapons around him the whole time. This is a mutual failing.
But I think,
but it's more so on the franchise.
A lot of that is on the franchise. If you say, I've always felt like the biggest problem with Cam Newton and the Panthers is that they handcuffed him too much. They wanted him to sit in the pocket and throw 3-yard slants.
Except for one guy who got it, who's not here anymore, who doesn't have a coaching job.
Rob
Chizicki.
Yes.
Yep. He knew what he had in Cam Newton.
And it's no coincidence that we haven't seen those type of numbers from Cam since then. And that's been a long time ago, man.
Yes. Yeah. I
Matt,
agree.
Matt, I'm gonna put you on the spot, man.
Okay.
You're the GM for the Carolina Panthers. This is a hard job you got coming up. What's the plan?
I don't want it.
Oh God, how much time we got?
7 years. You got 7 years.
You got 7 long years. Come on.
Well, I was talking to one of my friends, ironically about this same situation. Number one, I'm taking the best defensive player at number 7
in the draft.
Churches matter.
Yep. And whether it's Derek Brown from Auburn, Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, or someone else they may identify in the process, I've got to give the defensive guy from Baylor that he brought with him some support. Because if I have Joe Brady as my offensive guru or whatever,
right,
I'm going to make him earn his money. I was like, okay, you take what you got over here. You take Kyle Allen. We're not going to be good. Let them suck.
We're not going to take Kyle Allen. I'm telling you, I said last week, if Kyle Allen
now, this is if
he go out there,
he's the GM. He's the GM.
Okay, all right.
I will sign a veteran guy to back him up because Will Greer is not. I love him. I love Will Greer, but he's not ready.
He's not there yet.
Yeah, he's not ready. So we're gonna suck with Kyle Allen. If we're tanking for Trevor, that's fine. Or if we want Justin Fields from Ohio State next year,
So
yeah,
I'm glad you said that. There's a follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
That phone rings. Hey man, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. We got this #1 pick, man.
Mm-hmm.
What you want? What you taking that call?
Oh, you always take the call.
I mean, but how strongly would you consider that? Because look, let me stop playing around. I'm getting at Joe Burrow, okay? Cincinnati calls and say, hey man, Burrow ain't gonna play for us.
I'm not interested in Joe Burrow. You look at the talent he had at LSU around him. All the NFL receiving talent and the running back, Hilaire, was really talented, and a great offensive line. You should have thrown for 60 touchdown passes.
Thank you.
I mean, before that, he had a 15 touchdown passing season?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Brady is a great mind. He did great in that system, but we ain't got what LSU got.
Right.
We don't have a great offensive line.
You got Chris McCaffrey.
Well,
I do think, though, however, I'm not big on the Joe Burrow train. But you take a guy who puts up those kind of numbers and you pair him with his offensive coordinator from college.
Now that doesn't hurt.
And he's got Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore's no slouch either. I'm just saying that.
But I'm telling y'all, man, them skill guys are great, but he ain't got time to sit there 5 and 6 seconds and go through all them reads.
So, but the thing is, that's going to go for any quarterback the Panthers pick. If we don't have an offensive line, no matter who we trot out there, we're doomed to fail if we don't fix that.
So a few months ago, I told y'all that the Panthers are going to throw everybody a curveball and they're going to pick Justin Herbert. Don't get mad at me when it happens.
God. No. Just
don't get mad at me when it happens. That's all I'm going to say. Rodney, don't look at me like that.
I'll go down. You see, that'll make me go down there with pitchforks.
That guy's not ready. In the office and
he
everything,
is not
man.
ready. No. Not at number 7. Now, if he's there in the second round by some miraculous feature, absolutely.
What you think about Jalen Hurts? It's 3rd round, 4th round.
Well, if they're getting rid of Cam, I don't think they want a dual threat guy.
I agree. I think they're gonna go for a traditional.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I'm ignorant of how the offenses looked at Baylor and Temple. So is Rule like?
I mean, that's gonna be Joe Brady's system.
It's Joe Brady's system.
So that's true.
I mean,
but ultimately the coach is gonna say whether he wants a guy. Do you want a Patrick Mahomes or do you want a Drew Brees? Kind of guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Mahomes.
I don't think
I take Mahomes.
if you're getting rid of Cam, I don't think they want it because the biggest thing they're saying with Cam is the injuries. So why are they going to draft someone to put themselves?
I don't
back
believe
in that
that.
same
I just don't believe it.
You don't think so?
I think, like Kaiser said, I think that's just the crutch they can fall back on. Oh well, his foot's not healthy, so we're gonna move on.
But I mean, but do they realize that when they're saying, oh, it all depends on his health and all this stuff, they're making that market go down for him? Like you kind of stay quiet, like
right.
Let the mystery be out there.
I don't think anything can affect the market for Cam Newton. There are teams out there right now that are praying that the Carolina Panthers.
You think the Chicago Bears care anything about what David Tepper saying? You think they care one bit about?
Well, they probably already know.
There are teams out there that cannot wait for us to wait.
L.A. Chargers.
Yes, they cannot wait. Boy,
New England Patriots.
Cam Newton's about to make money. If we don't keep him and franchise him, which is really the only move the Panthers do, they do keep him. He's just somebody's gonna overpay him. Whether we think it's an overpay or not, somebody's gonna pay him starting NFL quarterback money. He's gonna make his $25 million.
If I'm Cam's agent and Dak Prescott signs that deal for $30-something million,
oh boy,
I need 40. I'm sorry, man.
To be honest with you, if I'm the Cowboys and Dak wants $40 million, I'm bringing in Cam Newton. Because I'm not paying.
Could you imagine ESPN with that?
They would explode. ESPN the servers would break down.
Man, I'm telling you, I would never pay Dak $40 million in my life.
Speaking of Dallas Cowboys, they actually have a way to make the playoffs next year because the new CBA deal from the NFL states that they will be adding 2 more teams to the playoffs in addition to,
or it might be one extra game to choke.
Yep, it could be. Yep. So the new CBA that's being proposed, one of the things on the table is a revamping of the NFL pre-regular and postseason. One less preseason game, one more NFL regular season game, and then adding 2 teams, an extra team to each conference for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that the NFL has more games, thus more money. The players seem to be split on this. The fans, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Explain. That's some country.
We ain't in Charleston.
We ain't in Charleston. Please speak Charlotte, please.
The greedy's gonna kill the NFL, man. That's too greedy.
Killing the goose that lays the golden egg. Yeah, that's what's happening.
It's too much. It's too much.
It's excess.
And then Richard Sherman said the best. This is nothing but a way for them to get that 18th game eventually.
Yeah. Matt, what you got?
Well, I mean, I tend to, from the fan perspective, I think it's great, having 2 more teams in the playoffs. But, for the players, I could see why they're apprehensive. I mean, that's just another game where they could get hurt.
Yeah.
Affect their careers. Taking away a preseason game doesn't matter. The starters don't play in that 4th preseason game anyway.
So what's the point? Yep.
So, yeah, there's more exposure from the player perspective. But from a fan perspective, I think it's great.
Look, I may be a fan that's in the minority. I think it's goofy, man. I guess conventional wisdom, you'd be like, oh man, more football. Yeah, great. I'm just not a fan of leagues trying to fix what ain't broke, man. You know what I'm saying? I like the intrigue of the playoff system as it is. I don't need a extra week or 2 of football because by the time the season ends, it's kind of watered down anyway, man. It's fatigue and you don't get quality play and you got all these people starters sitting out. I don't need an extra week of that, man. I'm good on it, man.
It could work if there were some tweaks. Like I would like a rule that stated that there were 17 games, but players could only play in 16 of them. So then teams would have to determine, okay, what's your load management game and what's not.
Right.
That would give a
Better
chance
scouting.
for that would actually increase the parity, because then you
No doubt.
have worse teams that would have a chance to possibly win games in which a better team was low managing.
And it would obviously make a hell of a last week of the season.
It
man.
would.
Yeah.
I see the pros to it, but just to say, okay, guys, play more football. By the way, you're not gonna make any more money.
Right.
But play more
see,
football.
and-
No, you can't do that.
And that's one of my biggest problems. That's one of the biggest problems to me. The players get 48% of the pie right now. You want me to play a game or two? We need to bump this up to at least 50%.
No doubt. No doubt.
50% of the pie.
Yeah, I think I don't have the article up, but I think it was going to go up to 49.2%.
Nah,
No, not enough.
you need
Yeah.
a 0.8
Not
more.
enough, man.
Yeah,
Give me that 0.8 more.
I need that 8/10 for real. Yeah, which will that'll never happen.
No.
NFL will never.
And
do
then
it.
the NFL is going to eventually get this way, because you know they're going to bully the players, and the players going to complain, and they're going to cave, and it's going to be a little lockout if they don't do it. So we're going to get the 17th game in 2021.
Now I am not entirely opposed to. I'm not entirely opposed to adding more teams to the playoffs. I'm not like the biggest fan of it. I'm not, but I'd be okay with it.
I would like that.
being
I would like
indifferent.
that better than adding a game.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'd take that better.
yeah, I take that.
Because
I take that.
one of the as much parity as there is in the NFL, which is probably the saving grace of that league
Right.
the league right now, is that
Yeah.
anybody's team can win.
Yeah.
The problem is that I still hate the fact that a divisional winner gets a home playoff game.
I
regardless of
hate
record.
that.
And I know the Panthers benefited from it in 2015, but
Oh, yeah.
I still hate it, because then you have teams like the 2010 Patriots, which went 11-5, but
the playoffs.
missed the playoffs somehow. That's absolutely ridiculous. Or you have the 2011 Seahawks beating the Saints, because
Oh,
the Saints
yeah.
had to travel all the way to Seattle to play a road playoff game, even
had the
though
better record.
they had the better record. I think that adding another team to each conference, I
Could
think
make it a little more
could
intriguing.
alleviate
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
so I'm good with that. So I think we can take a quick break here, because we have a very important culture piece to talk about coming up here. So quick word from my sponsor, Anchor.fm.
Cool.
And we're back under construction. We're here with our guest, Matt Morrow from Charlotte Football Insiders, joining us today. We have a pretty important culture
Yeah.
topic to talk about. Y'all know what this
The
weekend
last
is.
dance. The
This
last one.
weekend is the perfect mesh of two things happening at once. One, everyone in the city gets their tax returns back, and it just so
Just in
happens,
time.
just so
in
happens,
time.
they get their tax returns back
I can smell the rims.
on the rented Bentleys in downtown Charlotte
And the Reggie.
for a little event we like to call CIAA weekend. So for those who don't know, the CIAA tournament is historically played here in Charlotte.
That's like 13, 14
And
years.
every black person in the United States descends upon our fair city, and we party for
Party.
4 days straight.
Hard.
Just party.
Oh, and by the
Wednesday,
way,
Thursday, Friday,
excuse
Saturday,
me.
Sunday.
And by the way, there's a basketball tournament.
Yeah, there's some
Oh,
games
by the way,
going on.
there's some basketball games going on, too.
Something.
Right.
But every retired rapper comes out, has a show. It's great, a great time. Now you gotta be careful where you go. You can't just go to any
Can't go to any party.
Can't go to any
You
party.
see your guy on the party, run.
Yeah, so you just can't be anywhere.
Can't be
But
anywhere.
You can have a great time in Charlotte.
There's something for
But
everybody.
this is the last weekend.
Last
for
dance.
that. Last season, it was announced the CIAA tournament would be moving to Baltimore, Maryland. Oh my
don't
God!
know
Good
why.
luck with
Oh
that.
my God!
It's
Man.
not gonna last.
So,
Somebody's gonna do a wire party. I'm calling it.
but it's only a 2-year contract, and that opens the door for it to possibly come back. Almost like, hey, this is a trial. Now, to be fair, the CIAA tournament, or I'm just gonna call it the weekend, has a very tepid relationship with
The city.
the city.
Yeah.
The city and some of the residents in the city. You have an influx of people from other cities.
Yep.
Just be fair. You do have a small uptick in crime that occurs. There's what's been known as the CIAA tax.
Yeah.
You have restaurants and
Very
bars
real. Very
in
real.
Charlotte charging patrons of a certain skin color a little bit more money.
But for some reason, the ACC tournament
Doesn't happen during ACC or Speed Week, any of those other events,
never-
but during the CIAA tournament, it does happen.
Ritz Carlton.
Yeah. So some people will see this as a great thing for the city. I don't want to see the tournament go. Even though I haven't been out for CIAA weekend in some years,
right.
But I don't want to see it go. I love the fact that Charlotte is
The spotlight.
in the spotlight
Yeah.
for the CIAA tournament, which is important in itself. We joke about the basketball game, but
Yeah.
a historically black college university based athletic association hosts their tournament in our city.
Yeah.
And their headquarters is in
It's a
Charlotte
beautiful
now.
Is in
man.
Charlotte.
It's a
So
beautiful
your
thing.
thoughts on the weekend, it leaving what this means for Charlotte? Is it going to come back?
Charlotte continues its aggression on black events. We didn't make a play for it at all. We just kind of say, hey, it was fun. Now you can go now because we want to satisfy these constituents down in this area and ignore everybody.
What a coincidence! Because there's another big event coming up in this city this year.
Yeah, I wonder what that is. Yeah.
What is
Wow.
it? What is it? What is it?
Wow, man, that's just wow. I'm sorry. Go
Jog my
ahead.
memory. What is it?
No, we will not mention the name. of
Doesn't
that
deserve to be
event.
mentioned. But continue your
coming to
thoughts, sir.
Charlotte.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr.
Nah, I'm done, man. I'm done.
Man, what you got?
Well, the first thing is not everyone on the council was for the CIAA leaving. There were some people that were disappointed that we didn't put a bid in. The economic impact, I think it's $50 million.
$55 million. To be exact.
$55 million.
Yes.
That this tournament brings.
Why would you turn down $55 million in free money? I don't
That's
get
insane
it.
to me.
Money
It's
has a color,
insane.
if you didn't know
the
that.
culture,
It apparently has more than one color.
the culture of the parties and everyone coming in, is great. Exposure for the city. The crime deal, people make too big of a deal about one or two events happening. When you mentioned the event that's coming is going to bring probably more
Yes.
of those incidents
There's going to be some
to our city
some conflict,
with a
some clashes,
probably
yeah.
similar economic impact. So it's disappointing.
Here's my thing, man. I understand that there has to be a level of concern for an uptick in crime. Let me remind y'all that this city had how many murders last year without CIAA weekend?
106.
Is it okay for me to remind everybody that Charlotte wasn't the safest place outside of the tournament? You get what I'm saying? So to me, man, that's kind of just a crutch to fall back on.
Absolutely.
But to go back to what you said, man, $55 million impact. Dude, the crime, the quote unquote uptick in crime does not outweigh the.
Didn't we just give
economic-
David Tepper $110 million?
Did we not just get this soccer stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, where's all this money coming from? Let's talk about that. But anyway, as far as the CIAA tournament, man, and the last one being here, I have enjoyed the CIAA tournament here for years. It is a beautiful thing. I have had some of the best times of my life in Charlotte.
Especially the beginning.
Especially at the
early
beginning,
years.
especially the early years. The
Oh
early
my
years
gosh.
was amazing, man. The early years were made. It was so well organized. Like the city actually did a great
It's
job.
like a
with
family
it.
reunion atmosphere.
Right. And I'm sad to see it go, man. Now to discuss the point of it coming back, it's going to Baltimore for 2 years. It'll be back.
They'll be begging.
It'll be.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Here's
Pay you.
They think the uptick in crime in Charlotte.
Right. You moving to Baltimore?
You going to Baltimore?
Really? And you worried about crime? So I would kind of pump the brakes on calling it the last one because I don't believe it's the last one, man. And by default, if not for anything else, look at the location. It's in a good central location
Yes.
for all these
Yes.
schools and all these alumni, and it's like the city's like it's been a perfect fit, man.
And they have multiple. We have multiple venues. Baltimore, they only have that one arena. Maybe I'm thinking.
I don't know.
Yeah, just the layout of Baltimore is tough to have.
It is.
Sustain
Yeah.
it for that. That's
But-
probably why they did a 2-year contract.
Yeah, because they want to see how this first year goes and see if they can improve upon it, and then probably try to move it again.
So again, it'll be back in 2 years. I'm pretty confident about that, and we can enjoy what we've enjoyed for the last 13 years, man. So, I'm looking forward to it, man. I don't know how much partying I'm going to do personally, but I hate to see it go.
I'm gonna go out one last time.
If not for anything else, man, it raises the profile of our city, man.
Can I jump in real quick?
Of course.
If you see a club that you have never heard of hosting a party, do not go to that club.
Don't go there.
It's that simple.
Don't go there.
You're like, man,
Just the
you ever
words
heard
of the
you ever heard
wise.
of this this lounge? I never heard of this
Because
lounge
it's
before.
probably some warehouse at the end of some street somewhere.
The devil
And
you
it's
know
not
is
gonna be
better
set
than the
up for
devil
safety.
you don't. So yeah, avoid. You got to know the spots.
So
you
they only
know.
have one exit.
Hey, it's a red light when you come off of what exit is that? Right by Johnson C. Smith. When you come off of like 16, it's a red. It never turns green. So just turn right.
Just don't right turn.
Don't right turn. Just go.
Just
go.
Yeah, because if you stop, somebody might want to talk to you.
Just a PSA. Roswell's Ferry is not fully gentrified yet.
Only about 2 blocks
if you see a
past the
party-
church's chicken.
And then you stop right there.
Past the church's chicken.
I would like to let everybody know you're talking to some Charlotte OGs. We are here to help.
Okay, I got a real quick
That's
story.
right.
Okay, so a few years ago, my son wanted some Jordan Flu Game 12s for Christmas,
Oh,
right?
Jesus. I know.
Very hard shoe to find, right? So we're looking on Craigslist and we find a guy on Craigslist.
Mistake one.
Oh, yep. Now the story has a good ending. So he has them, right? So we're like, sure, let's meet in somewhere public, right? Because he was selling them for like $150, which is about
Right.
about $150, $200. So he's like, yeah, meet me behind the church's chicken.
You know what?
No, but see, this is what parents go through for our children. So my wife was like, okay, so I'm like, yo, I'm going with you, because she found the ad. So we roll up, and sure enough, this dude, like, we sitting in behind the church's chicken on Beatty's Ford, Robbins Ferry, and this cat come up. Hey y'all, he like opens the bag. I look, Jordans are legit. They legit. They're not bootlegging nothing. So I gave him $150, and he ran off into the woods. So you know the woods right by.
Know exactly what you're talking about.
So I mean, my kids had a good Christmas. but you had to, if you're not from Charlotte, don't do things.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You're not from here.
You don't know how to get away.
Yeah, you don't know the escape route.
You ran into the woods.
We need a Charlotte segment on places and roads to avoid.
Yeah, we're not
Because I
gonna
got
do
plenty I can go
NCAA,
down.
yeah. Man, so just be careful. Bro.
If you see the address, Beatty's Ford Road, I do not suggest going to any
just don't
day
go.
parties
Yeah.
off of Beatty's Ford Road.
Go to
I
the downtown
strongly
parties.
suggest-
Yes.
Stick to those areas.
And I live off Beatty's Ford Road.
We converted the old food line by Hamilton's to the club. Like,
But it's crazy. If you go down Roswell's Ferry, I mean, you see people like jogging there.
I know,
walking
it's
their
so
dogs
weird.
and-
It
It's so weird.
is. Again, it
It's
is
so
not fully
weird.
gentrified yet.
Yeah.
Don't let it fool you.
Yeah.
Don't let Becky walking that dog fool you.
They know Becky. They don't know you.
They don't know you.
Oh boy. Okay. You know that's gonna take us to our shout outs. We'll let our guests go first. Shout outs, shout ats. If there's anybody you want to get at.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to everyone that supports Charlotte Football Insiders. You guys, make what we do a pleasure. And of course, I have to shout out my wife once again for allowing me to do everything that I do out here in the city.
I'm gonna give a shout out to our continued supporters. Our guest today, Matt. Shout out to Mr. Wilder. You can't celebrate Black History anymore.
Yeah, you can.
We
To
done
this
took-
day.
we done took him off the Black History Month roster.
Well, the trade is already in progress.
Yeah.
The black delegation.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up Max Kellerman. We're gonna trade you.
That's a good deal.
He did. He rapped and everything. It's a good deal.
Shout out goes to the NBA. When I tell you they got it right last week as far as the NBA All-Star
Yeah.
festivities,
Yeah.
man, it was like
Yeah.
A1, man. Like I was thoroughly impressed about just the whole production and the presentation and how they represented Chicago and how in tune that they are with Black culture. It was just amazing to me, man. Everything from the intro to the stories to everything was such a success. as far as NBA All-Star Weekend,
No,
man.
Chicago has culture.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
We're
has
working
none.
on. We're working on
That's
it. So before anybody asks, like, oh, they couldn't do that for Charlotte. Like, what was y'all expecting? Y'all wanted Joe to see this perform? Like, I don't. Yeah. Like, we working on our culture thing.
God can be seen.
So shout out to the league, man.
For my shout out, I want you to imagine the scenario. Imagine you're a 42-year-old maintenance man.
I know where you're going with this.
Yep.
There's a reason he has that jersey on.
At an NHL arena. And you drive to Zamboni every night. And one day, in the middle of a game, the opposing team says, hey, we need you to suit up and finish the game for us. And then you do that, and you win, and you get first star. That actually happened last night. 42-year-old David Ayers, who was a maintenance man and Zamboni driver for the Toronto Maple Leafs, had to come in as emergency backup goalie for the opposing Carolina Hurricanes, in which he stopped 8 of 10 shots and preserved their lead. They ended up winning 6-3. He got first star.
Yeah.
So
Amazing stuff.
Here's what's crazy. He didn't have a Hurricanes goalie mask. He had to wear a Toronto Maple Leaf goalie mask.
I was looking online. I'm like, why is this guy in the Maple Leaf mask?
A Maple Leafs mask on and a Hurricanes jersey. That is the craziest, one of the craziest sports things I've ever heard of.
Yeah, man.
And they interviewed the Hurricanes goalie coach. He's like, I didn't even know what the rule was. He was like, I've never seen a situation in which both the goalies go down, your primary and your backup, and some guy like, hey, you're the goalie now, and won the game and got a nice champagne shower from the team afterwards. So good on him. It's crazy, like it's like something out of a movie. You get to live your sports dream, for once in your life.
Good stuff, man.
Panthers use me for offensive guard next year. When
It would
I'm
probably
good
work.
for one quarter.
It will work. Yeah.
I'm good for about 2-3 plays. I'm gonna come and cut block everybody.
Yep. That's gonna do it for us this week. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you,
You will
thank
see
you.
us again
Thank you to
next
Mr.
week.
Morrow.
We got one more shout out. Shout out our.
Yes, we got an intern.
We got an intern, y'all. We got an intern.
Hey, why don't y'all come on camera real quick?
Come on. Just show your face. Say hello to everybody.
Sheena, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My wife is here, but she's
She hiding back there.
Rodney's wife hiding back there.
Yes.
Studio audience.
So this is what happened. Remember a few weeks ago we said, hey, if you want to help support under construction, want to help us out with anything, contact us. Sheena reached out, and here she is, learning how to produce a podcast and YouTube show. So the offer still stands for anyone who wants to help be part of under construction.
No doubt.
So thank you very much. You guys have a good week. Take care of yourselves and each other.